I like people.
Okay.
Now, I know that's a weird-ass statement to open a video on, but ever since I was little, I've loved meeting new people. It's such a small thing that's always been real enamoring to me. Everybody's so uniquely different, and getting to know them is something I really enjoy. It's the reason why I go so hard on games that stay praised for their characters, yet none of them ever feel real. People are more than just cardboard cutout caricatures. Their goals, motivations, fears, what defines them is more than what a lot of games portray. So when it's done real well, or I guess real poorly, I kind of want to talk about it. The same thing could be said about relationships. They're also different because people are different. What we want out of a relationship, what we want in a partner, what we see in the people we love. It's all based on where we came from, what we've been through, how we live our lives. Getting into a relationship is a big-ass commitment. It asks for a lot of time, patience, money. Sometimes things work out, sometimes they don't, but regardless of how it ends up, at least you learn something. If not just about the person you've been with, a little more about yourself as well. And you know, to a lesser extent, the same thing could be said about video games yeah, that's really how I'm about to segue into this right now. But for real though, buying and playing games, especially when you're not so sure about, is a commitment. It costs money, takes time, patience, and sometimes when you take that risk, what you get is something amazing. Or it could be Persona 3. Either way, like it or hate it, you still learn more about yourself, what kind of games you respond to personally, what you want in a game, the things that move you, the things that you hate, the things that you really hate. I remember seeing Catherine back during high school or some shit like that. I always wondered what it was about, but being me, I seen the box and I'm more like, oh, this shit got anime and titties on the cover. This game is made for virgins, probably just like these other stupid ass games I play. So I never really gave it no attention. You know, life went on and I never really thought about it much. Then a couple months ago, my girlfriend at the time bought me the game after I made a passing mention about it. I broke up with her like a week or two later though, so shout outs to Chloe, I guess. Thank you. I wasn't really sure what to expect from Catherine. By this time, I've been known Atlas for a while, obviously. And low-key, I was excited to be playing a game from Atlas for the very first time again. If only I knew what this game was cooking up for me, I would have cherished that moment for as long as I could. Because I sure as hell wasn't ready for this game to bring me an experience I won't soon ever forget. Catherine is one of those games where it's kind of hard to describe every little thing about it that really works. I honestly couldn't pinpoint what about it kept me so locked into its charm. Everything is just so genuinely, unashamedly unique. Back in 2011 when this game first released, and even today, I'd say that Catherine is probably one of the most original games in the cut. Like, there's not a lot of shit out here that can do what Catherine does. It's honestly sick that the game manages to take so many seemingly disparate ideas, styles, and themes, gameplay, and just mold it into something so great. Even the plot of the game is presented in a unique-ass way as an episode of a TV show called The Golden Playhouse. It's here that we introduce to our protagonist, Vincent Brooks, a 32-year-old unambitious tech developer whose longtime girlfriend, Catherine, puts him in a difficult spot when she starts dropping some unsubtle-ass hints about their future together in marriage. Already there's a conflict between the two when Catherine feels pressure to up and get married due to the influence of the people around her. And Vincent, who's comfortable keeping things the way they are right now, don't really see no concern or need to rush into things. The issue gets a whole lot worse when Vincent winds up sleeping with another girl, ironically enough named Catherine, after he gets drunk the night before. And if the shit wasn't already bad enough, Vincent also starts getting these nightmares where he's forced to climb a seemingly endless tower being chased by something in the dark depths or else he'll die.
Save your breath and start climbing. If you fall, you're dead.
I'll die! You fucking serious?
You know how long the game takes to establish all this? Like 40 minutes. It only took 5 minutes to get into the gameplay. I don't know, bruh. Maybe it's because I've been stuck playing JRPGs all last year, especially ones with dog shit ass pacing, but I can't stress enough how nice it is to just get up in the game right away without sacrificing no kind of investment or time. Everything the game needs to establish is done so cleanly and naturally, and it even got time to lay on that charm, too.
I know this is sudden, but here's some trivia for you, as you seem to have finished your class.
The plot progresses at a smooth pace, where every day just starts and ends in a way that keeps you engaged and wanting to see what's next. During the day, you watch Vincent trying to keep his girlfriend, Catherine with a K, from figuring out that he's cheating, while also trying to figure out why this new girl, Catherine with a C, keeps showing up in his bed every morning. For whatever reason, this dude can't seem to remember none of the time they spent together. And the game does a good job keeping both you and Vincent in the dark for most of the plot, which makes sense because the night is usually spent running around in your undies anyways. There's a whole lot of personality put into these daytime cutscenes, what with the good-ass cast of voice actors playing characters that have really defined relationships that actually feel genuine. A lot of the characters, like Vincent's friends, all bounce off of each other and really feel like a group of people that have known each other for years. Almost reminds me of my own friends with how often these dudes flame each other. Like, for real, bruh. Everybody in this game is just wild as fuck. It really is one of my favorite cast of characters in a video game.
They say all the men who died were cheaters, so they were cursed.
Just get your ass back to work.
During the evening, you take control of Vincent at the Stray Sheep, the local spot at you and the boys. And it's like a hub where you can just hang out, drink, or talk to the other customers in the bar. Everything in this place is just straight packed with personality. Every customer in the bar is unique, having their own quirks and personalities, as well as a gang of problems they seem to air out to you as you go further into the game. I know it sounds weird, but sitting here listening to people just go on about their issues and being there to listen and help between days is really nice. It makes everything in the game's world feel more grounded and realistic. Vincent ain't the only person going through some shit, and it shows that he's not that bad of a person. He still cares enough to hear these people out and give them some advice. I really enjoy a whole lot of these people's little side stories. They cover a lot of different views and aspects of relationships, and most all of them feel like something that you might see in real life.
See, only half a man's worth is in his upward mobility. He unleashes his full potential when he's surrounded by women. That's why a real man shares this love with as many as he can.
I'm not after women.
Then you're after me.
Not a chance.
Ah, it's you. What are you waiting for?
To contrast the hands-off feel of the day, when Vincent goes to sleep every night, he finds himself in the middle of a nightmare.
Where am I? Last night's dream? Again?
And this is probably the most unique aspect about the entire game. The nightmare stages in Catherine have you pushing, pulling, and climbing blocks in order to reach the top of the stage, while trying not to fall, get crushed, or even killed by others climbing with you. This deceptively simple concept of moving blocks and climbing is real alluring, and the game does a real nice job easing you into the progressively more complex nature of the rest of the game. Every night you climb higher up this tower, with each segment providing a different kind of challenge for you to try and work around. What started off as just pushing and pulling blocks becomes trap blocks, sliding down ice, avoiding bombs, creating bridges, collapsing walls. It's kind of crazy how much you can learn and get better in such a short ass amount of time.
Allow me to explain bombs away.
Just learning a few of the techniques is enough to carry you through the entire game. Like most others just come naturally, or you can just say fuck it and figure your own way around each puzzle. And I think that's what I like best about Catherine, just how flexible everything is. Most times there's no one real way to solve any of the puzzles. The entire stage is like a whole ass canvas that you can just create whatever you want with it, and that freedom is felt throughout the entire game. In the easiest stages, the hardest stages, and especially in them little extra challenge stages you get at the very end of the game, what matters is how well you adapt to each situation and figure out how to solve it on your own, and that shit is just what I love in video games.
New record.
That's ice, I'm dead. Yep. Called it. You know, fun and fair gameplay ain't the only thing that makes these nightmare stages enjoyable though. Graphically, it looks amazing. Everything is so visible and clear, and the backgrounds really fit whatever stage you're in. And near the end of the game, it really feels like you're finally reaching the top of this massive ass tower you've been climbing for however many hours. But you already know I can't talk about the game without even bringing up the music, and I mean, like, come on, bro, just listen to this.
Hey, Mutton, if you're behind this, then you can hear me, right? Say something!
Of course I can hear you. I can see you. And your underpants.
As much as I don't like Shoji Meguro and as much as I don't like his music now, I think the decision to use real-world classical music for the Nightmare stages was real smart. It sets a nice tone for all the levels and honestly keeps this great sense of uncertainty, instability, and anxiety while you're hanging off the ledge of all these blocks trying to scramble and figure out a solution to the puzzle on the fly. Sometimes it feels like the music's there to help you keep focused, and it feels real nice to listen to it while you finesse some of these stages as you go on. The music and overall tone of the Nightmare stages, despite what I said about the day and night parts of the game being disparate or disconnected, actually come together and set an overall tone of unease and tension that's so prevalent throughout the entire game. It's like a small sense of relief when later in the plot Vincent decides to break up with Catherine with a C. Like, this dude finally manned up and chose one of the two bitches, right? You honestly think for a quick second that the nightmares might finally be over and that Vince can go back to a normal life, but then the game hits you like...
Hello? Who's that?
What are you doing here? Oh god, this can't be happening.
So you need to have a chat with Vincent, right? Come in, make yourself at home. How about a cup of coffee?
We are going inside, and you're going to tell me exactly what's going on here.
It's insane how tense this entire situation feels, bruh. It's probably my favorite part of the game. All them hours of build-up leading to this, especially after you was just starting to feel safe.
No, that isn't it.
So what is it then? I thought you were acting a little weird recently, but this?
It's not what you think.
It's such a great twist and a showcase of real good writing, and what helps is that you can feel the voice actors really giving this performance their all. Watching Catherine's whole demeanor change as she loses control of the situation, or the way other Catherine takes advantage of that by trying to take some cold-ass digs at her in a relationship with Vincent.
Listen, honey, Vincent here only needs one thing in this world, alright? And it's sitting right next to him. Now take a hint and get out of here.
Why the hell should I? You're the one who should be leaving, bitch!
Careful, you keep making faces like that and you'll start getting wrinkles. You old granny.
Why, you little whore! Damn it, Vincent!
The game calls itself an unconventional romantic horror, and it was here where I finally understood what they meant by that. The whole deal just kind of harmonizes together, and combine that with the final twist that this entire situation was just all a part of another nightmare was honestly just insane to me the first time playing. It's kind of hard to put into words just why this entire setup and reveal works, but like, when I say it works, bro, I mean that shit works. The game in general got this way of just weaving together the horror with the stress of Vincent trying to keep his two relationships in check. And trust me when I say that the game got so much more to offer. I'm just talking about the shit I like. If I was about to talk about everything this game does well, we'd be here all day, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't really feel like editing all that. But honestly, what I love most about Catherine is how, in general, the game kinda got me floored with how much this shit really hit close to me. As outlandish as that sounds, and as much as it revels in keeping you confused, keeping you guessing, keeping you nervous for what's next, the game also really knows how to keep it real. And like, damn, this shit kinda hurts.
This is a mistake. A mistake. It's gotta be a mistake.
Catherine is a game that feels refreshingly honest. Like, the relationships feel natural, the dialogue feels natural, the conflict feels natural. At its heart, it's a game that wants to talk about relationships, and I honestly think it does a really good job being painfully accurate to real life. Every character in the game has some kind of issue revolving around women or relationships, and it gets into some real deep-rooted evil-ass shit later on. Orlando coming to terms with the fact that he ruined his relationship and he's at fault for his divorce.
It's her fault for betraying me. At least, that's what I told myself. I couldn't face going back to an empty home. And even then, I could hear her crying, and I knew it was me who was being selfish, and it's my fault she's not with me.
Archie generalizing all women as abusers due to some real evil, horrible ass shit that happened to him as a kid that I don't think I can get into. Becoming manipulative and abusive himself as a defense mechanism. I don't really want to get into all of them because these things are best left for you to experience, but again, it's real refreshing seeing a game tackle issues so complex in a mature and respectful way.
Do you have any idea how I feel when I buy my clothes? I have to save everything I make just to buy handbags and clothes that won't embarrass you when we're seen together. I studied economics and etiquette every day just so I wouldn't embarrass you at an important dinner. But it's all pointless, because no matter how much I better myself, it'll never be good enough for some people.
What I really enjoy about this game is, again, the freedom of choice, not only in the nightmare gameplay, but also in the story. You probably already noticed, but in cutscenes there's this meter in the bottom right of the screen. This is a play on the alignment system from the Megami Tensei series, where your actions decide the outcome of the story.
Vincent's words and actions will affect the story. Remember it.
During the nightmare stages between levels, you'll be asked a bunch of seemingly random questions that affect the meter, and in the bar you can get text from both Catherines, and the way you respond can change that too. It's cool seeing how your values align with each character and how it's projected through Vincent's words and actions. And all that shit is cool and everything, but honestly, I've had such a hard ass time really putting into words just what about Catherine really hit me the way it did. It's been such a long ass time since I responded to a game like this in such an honest and personal way. It's been running through my mind for months now. But I think I'm starting to get it now. I love Catherine because I understand Catherine. As much as I wish I didn't, I do. This game, on top of all these good-ass things, does a real excellent job at shining a light on estranged, manipulative, toxic, and downright abusive relationships. The relationship between Vincent and Catherine, even from the start of the game, is pretty obviously strained. You can tell from the first scene of them together that there ain't really a lot of love left here.
Well, that sounds like you.
What's that supposed to mean?
But it feels like they've been together for so long, I don't think either of these two could really imagine a life without the other, obligation or not. The pressure that Catherine puts on a Vincent to move on up and get married the entire game is pretty shitty. Saying her parents are worried, dropping a bomb on him that she might be pregnant, comparing her relationship to the people around her. That shit bleeds some deviousness because there really ain't a time where Catherine ever asks Vincent what he wants or takes the time out of her day to hear him out. Feels like she's trying to strong-arm Vincent into marriage than genuinely wanting to build a future together. The game introduces the other Catherine with a C as some kind of fun and free alternative that magically matches Vincent's every interest and feeling about relationships to a T. She does her own thing, and that's something that Vincent is pretty jealous of. There's nothing really holding her back or stopping her from doing what she wants, so it makes sense that Vincent would end up conflicted between the two. But I don't really think that kind of escapism is good for anybody, especially when it involves cheating, you know what I'm saying? I know a lot of people see her character and go boo-boo crazy over her because she's like every dipshit version's ideal woman who's just all about them and everything, but this bitch is kind of fucking crazy.
Hey, knock it off with all the dying stuff, okay?
Then I'll kill you. I die, or I kill you. Which would be better?
Like, there's clearly no real love involved in their relationship, yet she's possessive, manipulative, and genuinely abusive. I know most of these scenes are made to be played as jokes, but for anybody that's actually been in a crazy-ass relationship, tell me if this shit sounds real familiar to you.
You don't get it. I could do anything you want me to. I'm protecting you. Why are you trying to leave me?
We could have been a good couple. We could have had something special. But you one crazy ass bitch.
The first real serious relationship I got into was a lot like these two. Like, that shit was really genuinely awful. I know what it's like to not trust somebody you're supposed to be in love with, that feeling like something just ain't right no more. Thankfully I got fed up with it and broke up with that bitch, but I never really forgot just how bad shit got to remind myself what love shouldn't feel like, you know what I'm saying? So to an extent, I understand Catherine's character. Hell, I've dated bitches like Catherine with the C as well, and that shit is just as draining to deal with. That constant need for time and attention for a relationship that just ends up feeling more like a friendship that's just poisoned with some toxic ass jealousy and possessiveness. I mean, shit, I even been in Vincent's position before. I know what it's like to fuck up and what it's like to try and keep secrets from your partner. I always told myself I'd never do somebody dirty the way my first girl did to me, but there I was, doing it to somebody else. After all that happened, for the longest time, I could only think of ways to make it up to her or ways to get her back and make things right. But honestly, is that really what either of us needed? Even if I did get her back, nothing would really be the same. I think it's hard to love somebody when you can't trust them, and it's really hard to be happy when somebody you love can't even look at you the same way. Do I even have a right to be mad at how badly I was treated in my first relationship if I was capable of doing just as bad to somebody else? As I started to understand the game more, these thoughts were constantly spinning around my head, and it was something about myself I never really wanted to address or take on. My thoughts about all of these situations were mostly selfish, and it feels real weird knowing that. I didn't really know if I was right or wrong, or if it was even worth spending so much time on thinking about up until I hit the end of the game and...
Right. I understand everything. But... Vincent, we can't go on anymore.
Don't do this. I can make you happy. I promise. You can't just...
It's over between us. What you want is excitement. It's written on your face.
Well, damn, I didn't know they was about to call me out like that, but shit, here we are. This is the first ending I got in the game, the Bad Order ending, and as much as that shit felt weird to have a game really hit me like that personally, I feel like it's something I needed in a weird-ass sense. It's real hard to talk about things like bad relationships or personal shortcomings with friends or loved ones because you almost always get that default response of, oh, you can't always blame yourself, or you gotta start by being able to forgive yourself. And to be honest, I don't like that type of shit. Maybe it's just me, but I feel like forgiving bad behavior is synonymous to being okay with it. Maybe it's just a shit mentality, I don't really know, but that's how I've always felt for the longest time. I don't want to be okay with the poor ass way I've been treated in some of my relationships, and I'm not okay with the way I did some people wrong in others. And I think that constant blanket reassurance was one of the reasons why this stupid ass ending hit so hard, because it wasn't something I would guess most people are used to hearing. Somebody just telling you straight up that you were wrong. Even in the context of the story, you're told that maybe getting dumped like this was a good ending for Vincent and Catherine. Would getting back together with somebody you become strangers with really be best for either person? I don't really think so, bruh. And I'm glad this was how I got to end my first playthrough because it really did feel personal.
Games are lovely creations, aren't they? Hope to see you soon. Stay golden.
It's been so long since I've had a game I fucked with this hard. I didn't really think that trying this weird ass game out would have meant so much, but shit, I can't really complain. Catherine really does hit all them bases for me. The story, atmosphere, characters, writing, music, all combined with gameplay that's cripplingly addictive and replayable. I don't know if I'll ever play a game this proudly unique ever again, but shit, even if I don't got this game 100% completed yet. I haven't saved every side character in the bar yet, and I still gotta do all the Babel stages. I'm stuck on the obelisk right now, and like, damn, I ain't even got all the endings yet, so safe to say I'll be entertained for hundreds of more hours to come. Through experiencing the story of Catherine, I'd like to think I've grown a little more as a person. I've learned to live with my mistakes instead of letting that shit hold me back. I'll use them as an opportunity to do right and do better by the people I meet as my life goes on. I still think it's crazy that I'm about to say this, but for the first time in nearly 8 years, I think I found myself a game that I can say I love more than Shin Megami Tensei 4. Only a year after making my video on it, where I called it my favorite game of all time. Unlucky. What really makes me happy though is that I'm not really alone in this. From what I've seen, Catherine is almost a universally loved game. Reviewers liked it, players liked it. Would you believe me if I said that this whole spill, the entire game, was just made to test out the engine Atlas would later use for games like Persona 5? Like, damn, imagine just being completely blown the fuck out by a game made to test an engine 5 years before you even came out. That's tough, bro, I don't lie. I want to push all that shit to the side, though. I'm just real glad I got to try Catherine and experience it on my own, for myself. It's still kind of weird to say, but I feel like this was something I really needed as I'm growing up now. Makes me think that even if someday I stop playing games, if I really decide to move on and do whatever I gotta do in the future, I'll always remember Catherine, just how much this game means to me, and why this truly unforgettable game is always gonna be, in my mind, a modern masterpiece. Happy 10th anniversary, by the way.